Hi, this is Brita Wynn, and I am here for Ask a Witch to talk about going into the cave time of winter. And before I do that, I just want to let everyone know that I am going to need to change the day of Ask a Witch to Mondays, mainly because I have doctor appointments on Wednesdays, and it's really hard to get back here in time for the broadcast because the traffic in Washington, there's just no freeways in there. So, other than I-5, and it's not near us, so it just takes a really long time to get back. So I'm going to switch to 6:30 on Mondays starting in October, and that way it'll give me all week to get them uploaded to YouTube as well. I hope that's not inconvenient for anyone. It's just Wednesdays. I just can't do Wednesdays anymore. I have to put my doctor appointments first. So that said, I'm going to talk about going into the cave time at this time of year. And if for those of you who don't know what that means, yay, I'm glad it works. For those of you who don't know what it means, that means starting to mentally and spiritually and physically prepare yourself for winter. Prepare yourself for the time of year that really should be downtime. Now, one of the hardest things about living in Western culture is Western culture does pretty much everything ass backwards from what nature is doing. And so it's in conflict almost all the time. And so one of the purposes of getting in touch with the energy of the seasons is to get into sync with, the natural energies of different times of the year, different cycles of the moon, that sort of thing. Like when I was in the beginning of this, I was saying, you can do spells to bring things to you when the moon is waning, but why would you? If you've got the energy of nature behind you that's in a phase of, banishing or moving things away or cleaning things up, why would you not use that natural energy? Why would you go in direct opposition to it? So this time of year is really about bringing in the harvest, setting up your storage areas, getting ready for downtime, because when winter really comes, which it comes at the end of October, and actually it's already well on its way up here in Washington, then you're ready for that downtime. I really, as a farmer, look forward to the cave time. And the reason that I do is because from about, I would say, in California from about the 2nd of February, but in Washington from about the middle of April, and even still in February to some degree, we hit the ground running as farmers. And the reason is because the animals start coming. In February, January, February, the lambs are here. Imbolc means the lambing. So that's when the lambs are born. There's a lot of excitement with that. There could be problems. The sheep all need help. There's all kinds of stuff needs to happen there. So activity. So the first day of spring in the Celtic year is really Imbolc, which is February 2nd. And so from about October 31st to February 2nd is the quiet time of year for a farmer. and that's important to remember, because remember, paganism is, most paganism is based around an agrarian lifestyle. It's based around farming. And so, as soon as the lambs start coming, we're run. It just accelerates through the summer until we get to harvest. And then it's, harvest, can, store. Crazy. And then, in October, we're like, harvest the animals, get them all in, get your numbers down, and then boom, it's quiet. Now in Western culture, then that's when we do Halloween and Thanksgiving and Christmas, and we all run around like a bunch of chickens with our heads cut off. But there are ways to do it without doing that. You can still celebrate the Western holidays and the holiday season in a way that allows you to bring that energy of cave time into your life. And so I'm going to talk about that a little bit. For me, it was always difficult. I had to really work on it because as a teacher, right at like the middle to last third of December, we had final exams. So it was crazy activity, and like busy, and then finals, grading, and then boom, Christmas. It was enough to make you nuts, if not sick. Most of the time I just got sick. So I decided it was really important for me not to have to get sick every single year. And so I started working on how can I organize my life a little bit better so that that is not the case. And so first thing I decided to do was just really work on getting as much done during the harvest time in terms of preparation, like getting, tests all written up and edited and ready to go and copied and put them in my mailbox so that I had them and they were ready and I didn't have to go nuts with that. Making sure that grading was up to date really early on. So that all I had to do was add in the final bits. In even like the exams, I worked online, so my exams were electronic. That helped too, because then it was just a matter of taking those scores, translating them into grades, adding any extra credit, and boom, being able to do grades. So that helped. The other thing that helped was if you're shopping for Christmas gifts around that time, another thing that you can do is consider doing online, or consider getting things ready during the busy time of year. Like when you're harvesting is a good time to start crafting and stuff like that too. The other thing too is you can do crafting things. Those are cave time things, like knitting or crocheting, or making things to give as a gift. The thing is being out in the mall, shopping is not being in the cave. It's being crazy in the flurry of stuff that's going on. And also it's an exposure to a lot of illness. Everybody's sick. So my advice to you is, first off, start working on getting your life calmer in the middle of winter, because your body needs that rest time. Everything is slower, your blood thickens, your fluids move slower, you tend to accumulate more toxins at that time. You have to, sleep more, moving around more. That doesn't happen until spring. And so really your body just needs that time to rest. And what you should be doing during the cave time is reading, meditating, taking some of the things you've collected and making things out of them, doing things that are indoor things, studying things. It's a good time to study. It's a good time for dream work. It's a good time for body care, herbal baths and things of that nature. And so, hang on, I have a kitty that needs to go out. Do you need to go out? This kitty right here. See, he says, we're talking about cave time, and you're not holding me. So, yes. So, and he's missed me because I've been gone for a little while. So cave time is a time for you to pet cats. It's a time for you to not have to work as hard, there's no babies. So you don't have to deal with any of that. Mostly if you have your chickens, if you grow your chickens in a natural fashion, you don't have to collect eggs because they stop laying about November. So there's a lot that doesn't have to happen. And if you've already put in a winter garden, you don't have to water it or do anything except go out there and get stuff. So, yes, Carrie, he is very cute. He also is very, very vocal. He has a lot to say, and he is a strong personality that he wants what he wants when he wants it. So it's difficult sometimes to do anything else but pay attention to him. He's a very good cave time kitty, though, because he loves to snuggle, and he loves to, be right in bed, snuggled up under your arm, so that's a good thing. So snuggling kitties is a good cave time activity. Now, one of the things that, I had a conversation once about this with a friend, and a lot of people are really resistant to the idea of cave time, because it means that they have to be quiet. A lot of people, it's like, oh, well, what about all the Halloween parties and the Thanksgiving gatherings and the Christmas parties and the family stuff? Well, that's all fine. But just try to remember that there is more to life than just the parties. There's more to life than all of that. And also everybody can be a part of that. I mean, it's nice to see the family at the holidays, have them all bring something or come early enough to help put the feast together. You know, it's one of the things that used to happen, is that people would gather together and make a meal together and share that together. That is one of the things that we do in cave time. And so a lot of people are kind of resistant to the idea of cave time. And I remember talking to this lovely old crone woman, and she was saying to me that a lot of young women were scared of the cave, that the cave was too quiet. It was too quiet of a place to be. And they didn't want to go into the cave. And we were talking about that. And she said, I don't really understand that because, as an old crone, I like to go into the cave. I look forward to the cave. I want to go in there with a big bottle of scotch and a couple of good-looking priests. And I just thought, wow, she's really got cave time handled. She's like, I'm going to go in there and I'm going to have some scotch and I'm going to hang out with some good-looking men and it's going to be fabulous. So, it's whatever relaxes you, whatever makes you feel like you're getting that rest. Remember, winter is the time when the seed is underground. It's underground and it's not sprouting and it's not growing. It's waiting to grow. It's waiting for that busier time, for the water to come up, for the warmth of the soil to come up. It's waiting. This guy, hello. And we have to remember that, we need that downtime too. We need that time to restore, because the spring, the summer, and the fall are all crazy busy, and they all take a lot out of us. And it's really important for us to remember that there is a time of year when everything sleeps, when the seeds sleep and the bears sleep and the birds all go south and the cat sleeps. And so this is that time of year. Now, one of the meditations that I've done for a long time that helps me is to start getting in the space for cave time is a meditation that takes me kind of to a little hideout that I can create in my own mind. And so basically what you do is you sit quietly for a little while and you close your eyes and think about a place where you can just be comfortable. Ouch! Where you can just be comfortable. And, think about the things that would be in there. Like, what would it look like? Like, for some people, it looks like a room all enclosed by trees. For me, it's like a stone castle, being an earth sign. The rocks make a wonderful space for me, or a log cabin kind of space. And in that space, what would you need to relax and rest? And so the things I would like in a space like that to relax and rest would be books. I like to read. I would like some things that I could read for fun, but also I would like some study material too, things that I'm interested in. Like one year I was interested in bees, so I had some books on how to keep bees, and I studied all about bees all winter, and then I was ready to, start keeping them as soon as spring came. So if there's something you want to study up on, that's a good time to do it, Dream journeying or dream recording. So you'll need a journal and some things to write with or draw pictures with if you're into art or drawing pictures. You'll want to have some things in there that are for that. Being a Taurus, it's all about my bed. It's all about the bed. So I have loads of pillows in there and, a nice wool skin surface to lay down on so I can read my books and make my pictures, in a comfortable space. There's also always, of course, a wood stove or a fireplace in my personal quiet space because I love fire. I love the look of fire. I love the energy of fire. I don't think I ever really lived anywhere, even when I was in an apartment in Roseville, I had a fireplace even. So I've always had access to a fire, and that's really important to me. So in my internal space, my internal cave space, I always have a fireplace available. I have all my magical stuff in there, so if I need to do any spell work. And I also have all my tarot cards in case I need to do any readings. So that's my sacred space, and I close my eyes and I go there. It's inside my mind, and I go there and I do the things that I want to do. I lay down and rest or whatever. And I often think about that space before I go to bed at night because sometimes in the winter I have all kinds of things going on in my brain, and it's really hard for me to relax enough to always sleep. Although here it's not as hard, I must say. It really depends a lot on where you are. In Washington, the sun goes down at 4 during the cave time. I mean, days are already starting to get a lot shorter, and it comes up at 9 in the morning. So there's not nearly as much light as in California, and starts to kind of get dark around, I'd say, 3:34. We're not quite as high up as Scotland or England, but it's not too different from that timeline in terms of darkness and lightness. And so for me, when it's been dark since like 4, by 7 p.m. I'm ready to go to bed. The darkness just puts me out. And it's very dark here also because there's just not a lot of street lights unless you live in the city. It's very dark in Washington because there's a lot more trees and a lot less roads, which of course makes for the traffic, but also makes for a beautiful place to live that always smells like trees no matter where you are. So those are the things that are important about cave time. Cave time is rest time. And so if you are having a difficult time sleeping, think about going into that internal space and, what would you do there? What do you want to do there? Think about what kinds of things put you in a quiet place. And again, it doesn't mean that you can't celebrate things. Like Yule is supposed to be a celebration, but it's not supposed to be, 20 days of parties and shopping beforehand. It's supposed to be when everyone realizes that midwinter has arrived and we are halfway through the winter. And so whatever we have that's extra that we can share, that's what we share. Because in the old days, people didn't have as much, and they didn't have as big a storage, and they didn't have refrigerators, and they didn't have a lot of things that we have today. And so if they made it to midwinter and they had any extra food, then they would often get together in a big group. Everyone would bring their extra food out and everyone would eat. And so, a big feast midwinter can actually do a good thing. When you're being careful for months and months and months, you often tend not to get as much food as you might need. And so having a big celebration, a big feast at Yule is a tradition because it's extra nutrients that would carry you over that hump into the next, part of the year, into spring. Now, once spring comes, there's all kinds of spring greens and things like that. And so we start to be able to see the food coming back again. Remember, as I said, this is an agrarian tradition. And so it revolves around what we would do for our food and the cycles of nature. And the cycle of nature in winter is quiet time. We are quiet in winter. So, I'm trying to think what else. One of the other things I like to do in winter is I like to make incenses. I like to take some of the resins. I have a big mortar and pestle that I use. I got it at a Chinese grocery actually. And it's it's for food, but it's big, like big. And so I use it, and it's like stirring the cauldron. I use it to make my incenses for the year. And that's a good quiet activity. And if you have a lot of witchy friends, incense is like bread, everybody's using it. So if you make a lot of lovely incense, it's a great gift. And the kinds of herbs and things that you would use, I usually start with a base of frankincense and myrrh tears and putting them in the grinder and grind those up. And even just frankincense and myrrh is a wonderful resin incense. But you can add some things like dragon's blood and rosemary and roses. You can add citrus peel to it. Dried citrus peel will make it wonderful. You can also add things like cinnamon. For visioning incenses, I will add some things like seeds of datura, or I will add leaves of belladonna. And the nice thing about that is that there is a very, very slight effect because mostly it disperses in the room. But what really happens, because the the belladonna leaves and the datura seeds have such a huge energy. They're hugely energetic that you feel the energy before anything else. So they're great vision incenses. Yes, I like copal too. Copal is a great one. It's lighter than both frankincense and myrrh. I use it in different kinds of incenses than I use frankincense and myrrh. And I don't mix it with things like dragon's blood because dragon's blood is so heavy. It's better with the heavier resins. But there's a lot of different ways that you can combine things together. But those are just my favorite things to start with. And make your incenses for the year. Make your teas for, to go into spring. Start putting together your leaves and flowers for your spring cleansing teas, facial steams, things like roses and rosemary and chamomile and lemon balm. Those are all wonderful together for a facial steam. You can put in a pretty little jar with a little scooper and instructions, and it's a great gift. Bath salts are also another thing because soaking in a nice warm bath is really a good thing. And you can take, a sea salt or pink salt and use about 2 cups or so and put about a tablespoon of vegetable glycerin in there and shake it all up, and then add your essential oils. Usually 15 drops is enough for 2 cups. So things like chamomile and lemon balm together are nice, or things like lang lang and a touch of cardamom is very nice. But things that are self-care items, make them for yourself as well as for your gift recipients, because hey, you, stop that. Somebody is being a bad kitty. Yes. I'm not sure what time it is. Can someone tell me what time it is? Because my phone will not tell me while I'm recording. But I usually will make all of those things in the winter time because that's when I have all my dried stores ready. I've been collecting, as you know, I've been collecting flowers and herbs and seeds and stuff now for a number of months, about 3 months. And so I have a lot of things that I can use to make those incenses and baths and all that kind of stuff. Thank you, Stephanie. I appreciate it. And so I do a lot of that stuff in the wintertime. The other thing I love to do in the wintertime is make scented candles, because it's just I find scrying in a candle flame, scrying is something I love to do in the winter. And scrying in a candle flame is something that helps me to kind of connect with that inner wisdom. And wintertime, that inner time of the spiral, that going into the deepest part of winter from Samhain to Christmas is really, or Yule, is really when the vision is the clearest, because you go through the veil thins at Samhain, and it just continues to get thinner and thinner until we get to that peak where we're at midwinter, where the days are the shortest. And then the energy changes and the spiral starts to move outward again. And you can still, it's still a good time for visioning, but all of those kinds of things are winter cave time activities. Scrying into a fire, making things, dream journeying, making incenses for the year, putting together some of your teas, for cleansing or visioning or any of that kind of thing. Writing also. This is a good time to write down your thoughts. Oftentimes people are the clearest when they're not as busy. And so if you can pull yourself out of the fray of the Christmas mall experience, then you'll have some quiet time that you can think about, things that are important to you. Contemplate the universe, contemplate what you feel about stuff, contemplate your magic, and talk to the goddess. This is going into the cave really begins at Litha, because that's when the sun starts to go away, but we still have so much harvesting to do, we really can't go in there yet. But once all the harvest is in, and Mabon was the last of the vegetable harvest, the fruit harvest, there's a little bit of it still coming in here where I am. We've still got about 200 pounds of apples to process and probably 100 pounds of quince. So if anybody wants to come and help, I'll send you home with a lot. But once that's all done and all the harvest is finished, then we're going to be going, into that season of, the quiet time. And here, almost all the animals are already harvested. We just have a couple of turkeys left to do, but everything else is already in the freezer. All the animals that we plan to harvest for this year are already harvested for the, so by the time we get to the blood harvest or Samhain, there won't be anything left on the farm to do. And for me, unfortunately, it probably means I'll be in the middle of moving. And that will be an interesting challenge also, to stay focused on the inner cave time while I'm in the middle of that chaos. But, I've done this through teaching and through all kinds of other situations of adversity over the years. And I'm confident that my skills are honed well enough that I can transcend the drama and be able to focus on what is important to focus on, so that when we do land in our home that's ours, we will be in that space of preparing for the next growth cycle. We'll be able to rest and prepare for that next growth cycle. So cave time, again, meditation, reading, painting, visioning, all those kind of cuddling kitties, all those things are part of that. And also remember to take care of you. A lot of animals go inward this time of year, and humans really should be one of them. It's a time to reflect, a time to heal, a time to get in touch with yourself. And so start working on that now, and start smudging your house. Start getting your quiet space ready. Put books that you want to read this winter in a place where you can easily find them, and just start, getting ready for that, because as soon as the harvest is completely over, that's what we'll be doing until about the 2nd of February. And as I said, as a farmer, I enjoy it very, very much, because there's no farm activity. It's quiet. There's no babies. There's so many babies on the farm in the spring. So I look forward to that quiet time before the crazy. So I hope that you enjoyed the Ask a Witch today. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask. And I'm a little behind on posting things on Patreon, but I have them all ready. I just haven't had 1 minute to put them in. It's been a lot of researching, credit and mortgages and all of that kind of stuff. So I really haven't had very much time, but I do have them, and I will put them up as soon as I get a minute. So I love you all, and thank you very much for being here and, being so supportive. And again, if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them. So have a great night. And remember, Ask a Witch is on Monday now, starting in October. So, starting Monday, which isn't quite October, but starting Monday. So thank you very much, and bye-bye.